Put very simply, we try to make sure that that our content, the copyright, is going to be protected, that markets become available on all sorts of platforms that we have, that we protect and stand up for the artistic expression, freedom of speech, which has been probably no other industry does more for that issue here in this country and elsewhere than the film and television industry historically. And so that's sort of our mission. The issues we work on specifically are obviously our content. The piracy problems are huge. We still have a serious issue with them. Market access, growing that obviously is very important as well. Seeing to we can expand our opportunities for product to be seen, to be consumed. And then things like as well, the profitability is obviously important to us. So the credits and so forth, domestically and internationally, are important as well for the industry. Those are our basic strategic goals and our mission. And people can add things here and there when issues pop up, but they usually fall into one of those 2 or 3 categories. Technology's changing at warp speed, and so the opportunities are there, more sophisticated ways. The days of the hard goods on a carpet on a street corner somewhere, where you're raiding warehouses, are still a problem, and there are parts of the world where that still is an issue, although it's diminishing. Streaming, obviously, and technologies that allow for that are posing some new threats as well to us. And technology is making that possible for more and more people because of the availability of content today, the more platforms that are available. And we're getting a lot more cooperation. We're not done yet, but it's encouraging to me that people begin to realize this is a common concern. Part of it is, again, you have companies that were just technology companies that are now also becoming content creators. So companies like Amazon, obviously, even YouTube and others, they begin to change a bit in their perspective. China as well, I think we're seeing that now. Again, when you're starting to create content, and not just making content available to people, you get a little more serious about making sure that all that hard work and labor and the cost of producing these remarkable products are going to be protected from those who would take advantage of the hard work that others have created. You get to almost $7 billion, in excess of $3 billion already at 6 months interval here. Those are great signs. So there's slowdowns or other factors contributing to it. Obviously, building a lot of exhibition facilities, the 20 or 25 a day that are going up, and exhibitors making sure they have the content. You can't do it. Anybody doesn't go to a movie or a film. So you've got to have good stories well told. And the Chinese audience is a very sophisticated audience, and they know what they like. They like a great diversity in content. It's not a one-size-fit-all audience at all. So I'm very excited about it. The fact that there's a growing business producing good product. The fact that we do what we're doing now, the 6th year here that I've been doing this, when we have our screening weeks here for Chinese films coming here. The co-productions are great. There's no ceiling on co-productions at all. So I see this as a maturation of the relationship, a lot of confidence within the Chinese film community, including the governmental entities, confidence in the quality of their product they're producing. And so the less and less of that feeling of we have to surround ourselves, protect ourselves from outside interests here. In fact, the Chinese obviously are very interested in having a market vastly in excess of their own consumers. And they want to produce quality product that travels outside the borders of their country. And they're getting to do that. The Chinese didn't discover the film industry about 5 years ago. There was a history of Chinese filmmakers and creative works that they produced years ago. And there's a growing respect for some of these early creators along the way. And so when you see the effort being made by some people to create sets, to tell stories, historical stories, animated stories, utilizing new technologies with facial muscles and so forth so that you can actually have someone speaking Mandarin or English or Spanish and manipulate the animated figures in such a way so there's no confusion about watching someone's mouth move in one direction and the words say something else. All of these things I think are very exciting. And I think China rightfully wants to be able to tell its story in the 21st century. And and they recognize that there are a lot of ways of doing that. We can all relate to that in some ways.
That's the universality of film.
Yeah, the universality of storytelling,
and
I think China cares about that and understands that as well, and so I'm excited about what they're going to produce. I look forward to being around to watch them tell stories that are going to have a universal appeal as well, and I think they care about that. Going back to what I said to you a few minutes ago, I think the Chinese audience is a very good audience. They're an unpredictable audience, and for a filmmaker, that's got to be exciting. To know that I can tell something different and unique, and there'll be an audience out there that will make an effort to appreciate what I've done. And I think that's one of the characteristics of the Chinese film audience. Paramount has had now a program for 3 years with students coming and spending some serious time. Disney and I believe Fox are also developing programs in that area, and others are looking at them. So I fully expect in the coming years you're going to see all these studios who have a real interest in developing those relationships on an ongoing basis. And again, I think it's smart. You're developing relationships that become valuable. I'm going to try and remember. I'm not going to remember the name, but there's a young woman I know in China that was a student at one of the workshops. There was a prize that we gave out at the Motion Picture Association for the best screenplay or the best directing job, and she won. And the prize was part of it was a week or 2 weeks in Hollywood and visiting the studios and everything else. And it was so she had such a great time, and people learned a lot. Were so impressed with her that she became a member of the jury at the Asian Pacific Screen Awards. I think maybe the year that Fajardi's film, A Separation, may have won, by the way. So here's a young woman in China, get a chance to come over. People meet her here. She meets them. They get going. She now writes scripts, is doing great stuff. She becomes a member of jury in Australia. That kind of relationship is so valuable. And everyone's going to be a great beneficiary of that. And so I'm a great believer in these programs.